What's up, everybody? Just wanted to do a little video here to let you all know I'm working on something and it's cool. And instead of telling you about what it is, I want to talk about something a little bit more meta than that. Hey, Daisy. I'm playing fetch here with Daisy. Good girl. Stay. Sit. 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 Stay. Sit. No, you gotta stay. Stay. Okay, and go get it. Okay, and so she's taking off. Good girl, Daisy. Woo! All right, and so, yeah. I've been thinking a lot about like what it is that we're doing out here in the underground. What it is to be doing intellectual work that involves reading, writing, listening, and sort of circuit between those things and practices that help those things. What is it that we're doing? And I think that there's like this assumption that what we're doing doesn't matter if it doesn't produce the kinds of products that they want you to produce as a professional academic. Okay. So like you could be writing, but if you're not writing what could be published in a scholarly journal, then it's almost like what you're doing is a waste of time, right? And I just want to say, not only do I think that that's probably not true, I'm pretty sure it's not true. And not only do I think it's wrong, I also think it's hubristic in the sense that it's an arrogant take because we actually don't know what this is all about yet. We don't really know what we are for. And by we, I mean autodidacts. We don't know what autodidacts are for. We don't know what we can do just yet. There's a lot of things that we can do. We can write blogs and post YouTube videos and do streams and potentially publish in more traditional ways, but that's not, I think, the point, right? Is that really the point? Look at her go. To me, it's not the point. To me, we are here on the forefront of entire new ways of being. Human, post-human, transhuman. We don't know. We just don't know what it is anymore that we're doing. We can have hunches and guesses and try our hands at things. And the biggest thing that I think is a danger, or at least, I mean, this isn't the biggest danger, but this is the danger that motivated me making this video, is working thinkers and thinking workers becoming over encumbered by the constraints of the goals and estimations or expectations, of academics or of workers for that matter. Beyond the circle jerk of, ooh, I read this person, so I'm smarter than you, and oh, I published this and that and the other thing, and so I should be able to speak in certain spaces, or I should be able to teach in certain spaces, or, you know, just the kind of the sort of academic thing, whatever. Theory and philosophy can also be a way of life. I think that's a much more important aspect here. When Wittgenstein went and taught elementary school, or when Hegel was teaching high school, they were working through things because they genuinely had an earnest desire to do inquiry. All right, like they wanted to work through things. And of course, one of the best ways of doing that is to teach it. But these guys also lived in the real world and were engaging with their moment. And I think one of the big dangers is that we get caught up in the what is this for? What am I for? What am I supposed to do with this kinds of questions? And I think that we have to keep a pretty open mind as to what's possible, and not get too far ahead of ourselves on what any or all of this might amount to, because we're in unexplored territory. The fact that I can just binge books while doing manual labor and being immersed in practical life, while at the same time being able to sort of grok out a sort of theoretical approach that results in new modes of not just being but also organizing, speaks to the fact that there's something to come from people who are not traditionally relegated to the roles of either worker or thinker. And I'll close it out by saying that, for Gramsci, the organic intellectual was basically just a propagandist, because he was a sort of ortho-Marxist. And I know real ortho-Marxists will hate me saying that about him, but, I think he basically, like Lukács, more or less thought he was part of a real proletarian world movement, and that whether Soviet Russia was doing it properly or not, that it was all part of the same thing, and that they were feeding into that process. And that what I'm trying to get at is that Gramsci thought the organic intellectuals would basically function as propagandists, like bread tubers. They would be able to convert ideas to the common vernacular and dialect of the people, for the local people, wherever it is that the person's from. And I think the important thing here is that what I'm getting at is that it goes much, much, much beyond that. It's not how do we propagandize people to become leftists? Or how do we propagandize people to become rightists? It's also, how do we learn to think and act in new ways that break us out of the molds that reify the current conditions? And how do we set ourselves up to cultivate the conditions for something new? I think that's the real question. And I think the quote by Rilke at the end of my most recent piece that went up on Substack, Letter to a Young Intellectual, What's the Hurry? The quote that I use is, live in the question. And maybe one day you'll live your way into the answer. I do this stuff because I feel like it's important. I can feel that it's doing something. And people tell me it changes their life. They tell me it's having a real effect. And then I have seen amazing, beautiful, and cool things come from that work. I've also seen some stuff that I would kind of raise my eyebrows at or go, ew. But, that's the nature of the beast, isn't it? And so, it's hard for me to say, though, that just because I raise my eyebrows at it or say, hey, that it's useless, or that I fully understand what it's going to result in. And so, yeah, I'm a little too skeptical to assume that all of this is amounting to nothing, or that I can really say what the real function or result of anything really will be. Because I ultimately think that there are reasons for why things happen, and for why we feel called to do certain things, and why we end up taking up things that don't turn out the way we planned, and then cool stuff still comes from it. And I'm not saying it's totally beyond my comprehension or your comprehension, but it also shouldn't stall us or result in some kind of analysis paralysis. At the end of the day, I think we need to be experimenting, organizing, getting out there, making it happen. That's what I'm trying to do. And so thanks to everybody who's helping make that possible here at TU. Over and out.